Do you feel emotionally connected to your plants? As if in the process of caring for them, they as well are caring for you? What about planty DIYs and thrifting for plant items? If I have your attention, then the Plants by Wade Lee podcast is for you. Join me, plant friends, as we dig deep and experience the magic of plants. Hi, plant people, and welcome to the third season of the Plants by Wade Lee podcast. I'm your host, Wade Lee. I'm super excited to have David. You know and love him from saving squirrels to jumping into trash cans to save plants as PV Plant Guy. David, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me.
No problem. I'm super excited to talk to you. We're kind of in the same vicinity, which is super cool. So I see you go to like some of my favorite restaurants and things like that. I'm like, oh yes, this is very close to home for me. So I had just mentioned to you a funny story that even how I found you in the plant world was I was dating now my husband, and he had said when we first started dating, he came to my house. I was like, wow, you have a lot of plants. And I'm like, yeah, yeah. He's like, oh, do you know PV Plant Guy? And I'm like, no, who is this? So it was super cool that like he was my introduction. Now my husband. It's very, very cool. So I just wanted to start and ask, how did you start getting into plants? Has this been something that you've always loved and you found it, or
Yeah, plants I've grown to love like over the past few years specifically, but it really started when I was a little kid and I grew up in Rhode Island. My dad had a garden out back. Every summer we would plant very small vegetable plants and nurture them over the course of the summer months. And then come August, September time, we would harvest them. So things like cucumbers, tomatoes, peppers, eggplants. One year we grew giant pumpkins. We had like a 200-pound pumpkin that was displayed in front of our house for the fall time. And then we moved to Florida in 2004 and can't really grow vegetables the same way we can up north. Um, so it was, I think, taking care of plants is very nostalgic for me. But I think the journey of PV Plant Guy and taking care of houseplants really started when I moved into a three-bedroom apartment with my then partner, now husband, John. We had an office and I had light, I had a window, and I received an African milk tree cutting from my coworker. And I just potted that up and it just started growing really well. And I was like, oh, I have so much space in this office. Let me just buy more houseplants. And so slowly kept adding. And then we moved into a house, and the house had western exposure, which is amazing for plants. It screened in back patio, so nice direct light, but filtered through the screen. And over time, I just kept adding more plants to where it looked like a jungle. And
yeah,
I started taking a lot of pictures of them, right? And on my phone, I was like, I have so many pictures of growth and progress. I was like, to myself, I want to create an Instagram account and just showcase my plants. I want to share my love for plants with other people. It actually took me 3 months to muster up the courage to start my own Instagram account. I was going back and forth. What should I name the account? What should my handle be? Settled for PV Plant Guy because at the time I was living in Ponte Vedra, Florida. So that's where the PV comes from. And so started it, posted a bunch of pictures, and then this is before Reels or before TikTok was even a thing, before the pandemic. And then that was August 31st, 2019 was the day I started my account. And then once Reels and TikTok kind of blew up, I think so did my accounts, and here I am today.
that's so cool. David, where were you shopping in Ponte Vedra? They have the Ace Hardware is so amazing there. I was like so blown away when I went to their nursery. I was like, wow, they have some pretty cool plants here.
Yeah, a lot of the Ace Hardwares around town in Jacksonville. So they have really good selection of houseplants. So there's Proctor Hardware and then Turner Ace Hardware. Both of them have a great selection. So I would honestly go to the one on JTB and A1A if y'all are familiar with the Jacksonville area.
Yeah.
Pick up some houseplants. They have a really good selection of fiddly figs. And then of course, like buying online, buying from folks who were selling on Instagram and discovered Plant Proper along the way and have a great relationship with them. So love to purchase plants from them. And if there's any other plant that I see online that I really like, usually just kind of add to cart and purchase right then and there.
Yeah. Where are Plant Popper's nursery?
So they are south of Miami. So they have a farm. Yes, they grow everything themselves from seedling. Really cool process. I was actually there on Tuesday checking them out. We redid our floors in our house this past week, so it's a complete mess. It's like I'm like in my husband's office. I was like, this place looks like a nice quiet place where it doesn't look like it's completely under construction. That I could chat with you, but went down to see my parents in Naples. I took the dogs and then Tuesday of this week, went over to Plant Proper, hung out at the farm. It was my second time visiting and it was like a 2 hour drive. So had a really great time with them, got to see
So
all their plants and yeah.
yeah, I was just talking. I just came from St. Augustine and did a plant pop up at Spinster Abbott's, and I was talking to a customer, and she said, "Yeah, like the first time I walked into a nursery, it was just like this. Oh, it's just like angelic feeling. It's got to be something to like go to these nurseries and be invited in. Come play, look at our plants."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, I think kind of seeing the behind the scenes is really mesmerizing because a lot of the time you just see advertisements on social media or you see their website. Understanding like the time and the maintenance and like the love that goes into like growing plants and shipping them, it's just a truly touching experience to experience in person. But
yes, they're like babies. You have to like be on them all the time. Make sure that they're, hydrated or that pests are not on them. It's a lot of work. And that also goes into the price behind plants. Some people come into markets or, like, wow, this plant's so expensive, but you don't know the love and care it took to get this plant here for you to purchase. So, um, David, what what was it like when people at work knew that you had this popularity on Plantstagram?
so I switched jobs about 2 years ago. And so at my old job, not really talked about it, was just kind of like, oh, he's on social media. And then when I transitioned to my current job, it was kind of like a coming out experience. Again, I joke all the time. I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna come out to you. Like I actually have like a houseplant Instagram. I think it's very well received. I think my presence on Instagram really, I'm just like authentically me, which I take pride in, and I share my plant stories, my workouts, my fitness. I clearly just came from the gym, literally finished a workout like 30 minutes ago. So I'm in my you caught me in my gym clothes.
Well,
And I think it's just a topic of conversation and it really helps build relationships. And I'm always letting people know, like at work, hey, like if you have any plants, like let me know. And or if you need any help taking care of your plants, let me know and I'll help you out. So
yeah,
it's
you
definitely a
definitely
topic of
give this.
conversation.
Yeah, you definitely give this persona as like your plant friend next door. Like, just knock on the door and here's my dying plant. Can you help it?
Yeah. One of my colleagues was like asking me about her fiddle leaf fig. And I told her, I was like, you can just put it outside on your screened in lanai. Like it will thrive, contrary to what we read online. They're trees and they like really bright light. And so she moved it. She actually planted it outside and it just started to like take off. And like she showed me pictures of the progress. And so like that brings me joy, like letting others know like what the best way to take care of a plant is, even though they may not have a green thumb, right? If they're successful at it, that's just, it's my nature to help people and really make a difference.
Yeah, I was totally influenced by you with the fiddle leaf fig. You were like, "Oh, Costco has it." I don't even remember. It was something crazy, like $29, right?
Yeah.
Remember? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I went and got like five and made this
Yeah.
amazing like privacy fence in my backyard. All because you were like, yes, go to Costco. And
I remember that. It was like
yeah.
1999. I think that was maybe like a year ago or something. And
Yeah, it was like 1999. Right. Yeah.
yeah, that was when
It's
I went
so
to Costco in a suit. And I
yeah.
was like, I'm just gonna like record this. I was like, whatever, no shame. But I think we're in Jacksonville and the fiddly figs thrive outside, but like we have to be careful in the winter because if you don't cover them, like they're definitely gonna die back a little bit if we get a
Yeah,
cold snap.
mine are sticks, but I will tell you that like there's
They're gonna
all
come
these.
back.
Yeah, they're. I mean, they already have like about this size of leaves on them, but they were like branching and growing, and you could not see. We have like this beautiful like creek behind it, and my husband the other day was like, "Wait, there's water behind there," and I was like, "Yeah, I like could never see it because of the fiddly fig."
That's
Um,
too funny.
yeah, but I like it because it's just a great privacy fence.
Yeah.
It's green, and the leaves are so beautiful. Don't sleep on the fiddle leaf fig. They're a very beautiful plant, and that is a great price for Costco. Yeah. It wasn't with Costa Farms, right? I don't believe. I don't think
I
it's
don't
a
know, I
Costa
can't
Farms
remember.
drop. No, but that price is so good because I literally went to the nursery to for this pop up, and like at wholesale price, that size was already $15. So the 19 was a great price.
I know some folks will complain about getting plants from Costco, saying that you should support your local plant shops, which is true, and I believe in that. But sometimes you just can't beat the price, like 20 $25 for a fiddly fig versus 60. It's kind of a win-win. And even if they're not, I mean, you can dig through the collection and pick out a healthy plant. Like I was there a few weeks ago, um, and there was some lady checking out all the fiddly figs, and I went in there just to make content. I was like, "Oh, I'm not actually buying one." I was like, "Here," I was like, "You should take this one. Look, it's branching, it's super healthy." And she's like, "No, you already have it." I was like, "No, I'm not buying one. Here you go." She was super happy because she was very indecisive about which fiddly fig to buy.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, sometimes you just can't resist. It's one of those like, "Oh, it's $20. Sure, I'll
Yeah.
should have."
Yeah. And so talking about the content and TV Plant Guy, you don't like have a script anytime, like most of the time. It's pretty much fly by the seat of your pants. The dog's caught
Yeah.
a squirrel and we're gonna record this.
Yeah, that one, I feel like I got a lot of heat for that one because I didn't stop recording. I was recording the entire time, but I guess let me pause and like break that down. So, for those of you who aren't aware, there was this one video that I posted on my TikTok and my Instagram where a dog or a squirrel was in my screen house. And I didn't realize it was in my screen house and it fell, and the dogs were in a scuffle. I have three golden retrievers, and the squirrel got flung into the pool. So I ran around and I picked up the squirrel with my bare hands and I released it on a tree. So what happened was I was actually filming content with the doors open. I think it was like October. So the weather was beautiful.
Yeah.
The dogs are just like doing their thing. It's like Sunday morning, 11 a.m., and we have squirrels all over the place. They're always running on the top of the fence. Dogs go crazy. And so I look over and I see them scurrying. I see a squirrel. I'm like, oh, like it's not in the screen house, surely. But it actually was. It was climbing like upside down on the inside of the screen house. And it fell. And then I was like, oh, it's gonna run away in my head. Like this, no way the dogs can catch a squirrel. And there were potted plants all along the edge of the pool, which is like 2 feet wide from the pool to the edge of the screen. Tucker actually like got so close to it, and the squirrel grabbed onto Tucker's mouth, and Tucker flung it. In the video, it looks like he like had bitten the squirrel, but no, that's not the case.
Yeah.
So I was freaking out, yelling, screaming for my
Fighting
husband.
him.
Yeah, and the squirrel was swimming. I'm like, I don't have a net. I threw it out because it was busted. So I was like, I'm gonna either let this squirrel drown or save its life. And so obviously I like looked it in the eye for like a split second and I could see it was just like, help me, help me. So the thought crossed my mind that it was gonna bite me, but it didn't, and saved it. It was actually really fluffy. Like I was surprised how soft it was, even though it was wet.
Yeah. That's
So
so
yeah, definitely not scripted.
yeah, yeah. I would have freaked out. The other day at the museum, one of our cats who I found out was ill, but she fell into our reflection ponds. And I was like, oh my God, thank God my coworker like immediately like jumped in and grabbed it. But I was just like, for 5 seconds of time, I was just like, oh my God, what do you do? So it's that adrenaline has got to be crazy, especially with the dogs going crazy over it.
And I was already filming content, like my camera was rolling, and Tucker had like fallen into the pool. And so I was like, oh, he's swimming, let me record. But like, no, that wasn't the case. He fell because there was a squirrel. And so we got out of the pool. And I was like, what's gonna happen? Is it gonna run away? And when I realized it didn't run away, I ran over to the side of the pool to help it with my phone in my hand. People were commenting like, "Oh, you could have saved it sooner." Like, A, I saved it, it didn't bleed, didn't look like it was hurt. And B, like I made it from the time it fell, I made it over to the squirrel and picked it out of the pool within 16 seconds. So I thought to my standards, like that was pretty fast.
Right. Yeah, I think you're a hero. I would not listen to the naysayers. There's always gonna be naysayers, always. Yeah. And then you get your office sees you with a suit and tie jump into a dumpster to save a plant.
Yeah. So that's a funny story. So my boss knows that I have, or my boss at the time knows that I had a house plant, have a house plant account, and he always jokes, about like all the plants around the building. And he looked out the window. He was like, "Hey, you should go dive into that dumpster and get that plant." And I was like, "Only if you film me doing it." And he was like, "Okay, I'll film you." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, go grab it." So I went downstairs and he's up on the third floor, like filming me. I was like, "Of course, I was like, use my phone, go to this window, use this light setting," all like true influencer fashion. And so I like ran around the building. That green suit was the first day that I have ever worn it. So I was like, I hope I don't mess the suit up. Like I'm gonna dive into the dumpster. Um, so I wanted to do it like sight unseen, did not want anybody to see me actually doing it. And I noticed that there were three, and I was like, I can only get one. Like, I don't have a lot of time. I'm just gonna do this, like, dive, get it, and then like run away as fast as possible and act like it didn't happen. And then I was like, okay, like this actually like worked out. Like I got the plant. And then I was like, whatever, like I'm just gonna post this, like we'll see what happens. And it like it went viral, and I was like,
My
okay,
mom
well,
sent it to me. Yeah, my mom sent it to me. And I was like, "Yeah, I follow this guy. Yeah, like this is so crazy." That's so awesome. And that's what I said the other day to content creator, that's when the magic really happens is when you're just like, I'm just gonna do this, not even think about it, and then like whatever. That's why you just always have to post it. There's so many times where you question it and you're like, I don't know if it's worth it. But
just throw it up there. You never know what's gonna happen.
yeah,
I feel like I like my content, like creative juices like wax and wane. It really depends on like how busy I am with work or just like how physically exhausted I am. And I mean, I don't have a lot of natural light in my house. So a lot of the content that I film is on the weekend. So I'll like bulk film, edit, and then like post throughout the week. And oftentimes I'm just like, I'll go like days or even sometimes like weeks without posting anything because I am just exhausted. Or sometimes it's raining and I'm like, I can't film when it's raining on the weekend. There's just like no time. But yeah, it definitely comes in waves.
yeah. What about plant shows? You've been to the plant shows like IAS and
Yeah, I went to IAS in 2020. Oh, here's Tucker. Hi, Tucker. 2020. Come here. 23, I think it was. It wasn't 2024. That was a lot of fun. Couldn't make it last year. AntCon in Orlando. I actually wanted to go. I had planned to go, but my husband has a like an annual reward trip to Mexico. We came back that Saturday, like Saturday night when PlantCon was. So it didn't make sense and I was kind of bummed about it. But I usually try and go if I can make it. And they're a lot of fun. You get to see a lot of the other plant influencers.
yeah. Ah, look at that
He's
big
got a toy.
bang.
He's a big baby. He got a bath today. Say hi. Say hi to Wade.
So
Yeah, he's just chilling.
when did you get all three of them together?
No, so we got Jax first. Um, we got Jax. Jax is 9.5. And so we got him when we were living in an apartment, always wanted a golden retriever. And then Marley came 2 years later because Jax was lonely. So we're like, oh, our dog needs like a companion. And then Tucker came because Marley's younger brother, like from another litter, our friends had a litter themselves. And so we were like, well, Tucker is blood related to Marley, and of course we have to get a dog from that litter. So that's where Tucker came from, and he's 3.5.
So awesome. They're so beautiful.
Oh yeah, we call him Velcro because he's like super clingy. And he'll just yeah, he's a big baby.
When you do the polls on social media of which dog is which, do people like the people, your diehard people, do they usually know?
Yes, there's some people who get them right every single time. And then there's some people who like have never met them in person and always struggle. And they're like, I can never get it right. I'll get it right next time. So I'll occasionally like throw clues like this is Jax, this is Tucker, this is Marley. And then we have the people that have met them and still get the quizzes wrong. And those people, I'm just like, guys, come on, you know them, you met them, you should know. But they do kind of look alike because they're all like darker colors versus like the English cream golden.
Wait, and then wait, what's the difference? The golden and then the
So I think they're like American, like there's like American Goldens and then like the English cream Goldens. So the American Goldens are like usually taller and skinnier and have longer faces, and then the English cream are a little bit stockier and have more shorter snout.
yeah, they're your babies. I can tell how much you love them so much. It's so sweet.
But yeah, they're a lot of fun, and they're always around. Like when I'm filming, they're just like, "Oh, like we'll come with you." That's why you just see them like walking around like the camera, because I'm not gonna make them go away.
Yeah, yeah.
Like we're just hanging out.
What about plants for you as far as like your attachment to them? Are they just kind of like a hobby, or do you use them in your self-care rituals?
To me, they have taking care of plants is kind of like my zen time, like my alone time. I just get time to like think and decompress. And I think what's been over the past few years is that like becoming a content creator has put this unsuspected pressure on making content that will do well with plants. And so oftentimes like when I'm like doing plant care, like I'm just like all over the place. So I'll do one thing, go to another, kind of, ADHD. And so I find that when I do film, it kind of takes away from the zen of like the personal time that I need. So I think it's kind of like a balance of like doing things that I need to do to make sure that my plants are gonna like stay alive and be healthy. And then also like providing time for myself and then also like filming content. And sometimes I'll just record myself doing random things with the plants, and other times I'll have an idea in my head that I'll execute on. But I think it's all about like time management and then like figuring out like what I need for myself and then what also my husband needs, because I can't, obviously being in a relationship is a compromise, but being present with him and in the relationship is also important and a priority. And so of the small time window that I have to take care of my plants, it's usually like, okay, do I need to do content or do I want personal time?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great balance, David, because you're right. Can get so caught up in just making content and going viral and trying to get the next video, but then you like, what is this for? It really is, just about enjoying it, and then definitely taking the time for the loved ones in our lives that support us in this crazy passion that we have with plants and making them. Does your husband like the plants, or could he
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Yeah, he likes them, but I think he definitely tells me when there's like too many of them in a certain area. I mean, I feel like I used to take offense to it, but now I kind of align with him and I'm like, okay, like I get it. I don't I get where he's coming from, where before I just wanted a bunch of plants, but now that we have the floors and we had to take all the indoor plants outside and I congregated them on our bench in the shade while I went away, and I'm like, oh, I really do have a lot of indoor plants despite the fact that I don't have a lot of light, because a lot of my house plants are like on my back patio area. I was like, maybe we're gonna use this as a time to like declutter and make things more like clean and like visually stimulating. Not that it wasn't before, but I think there were like a lot of like smaller plants or plants that were just a little bit more unkempt. And so
Yeah.
I think when we put the plants back inside, we want them to be a little more aesthetically pleasing while also surviving and thriving.
Yeah, exactly. I love doing a plant audit. I think it's important, and, like asking yourself, does this plant even bring me joy? And if it doesn't, then it's a struggle. It always has bugs or whatever. Get rid of it. It's totally okay to just be like, no, this isn't working anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. You were very transparent about your brother's passing. And I just appreciate your authenticity with speaking about it because it's can be so taboo. And I just wanted to ask you if you mind sharing like how your process has been through getting through that.
It's certainly been difficult. I find that like the more I talk about it to people, like I'm very open, even at work, and just to friends. I think it kind of helps me kind of process the grief. But he died Memorial Day weekend last year. He died of a fentanyl overdose. So it was from a Xanax pill that he had gotten from a friend that was synthetic, and it had 6 times the lethal amount of fentanyl in it. Truly, a victim of one pill can kill. He struggled with drugs the majority of his life, and he was 29 years old. And I think kind of like watching him struggle and just over the recent years, like slowly deteriorate and watch how his personality changed because of the drugs, mainly into opioids and was prescribed Xanax and Adderall for medical conditions. But then if he would run out, he would get them from his friends and anyone. And like, that's the risk, like purchasing from someone that's not a reputable like pharmacy, right? That happened. And I think like my mom and he's my only brother. So I think my mom, my dad, and I knew some point this would happen because of the decisions that he was making, but we didn't suspect it would happen so soon. So for me, I think like it's just like a loss that like you would never expect to happen. And I think plants like when he first died, like I like didn't know how to like cope with the loss, and work actually was the main factor that helped me get through because I had like things to focus on. And I described earlier that like plants were my zen time, like where I'm able to like think and get in my head. And during the process of grief and like moving forward, I didn't want to get in my head because that's when I would like experience overwhelming emotions that one doesn't prefer to feel, right? And so it took me a really long time, maybe like 3 or 4 months to like get back into the swing of my plants because of like the monotony that I felt and the emotions that I felt when taking care of them. But once I got back into it, like rediscovered the joy that it actually had brought me, and it was something that I was missing. And so now it's like when I do take care of my plants, I'm still it's like now I'm thinking about different things. I think the grief journey is obviously individualized for everyone. We all process in different ways, and whatever way you process is okay. And I think, I went to therapy for a while. I actually haven't gone in a while. I need to get back into that. But I think, we all discover our firsts after it happened. Like Steven's birthday was in March. And so like that was a really hard day. And for me, like I think talking and being open with my husband about my emotions is helpful, and then also just crying, just like taking the time to like cry. I can like tell when I'm going to like an emotional like cry, like a good waterworks, like days in advance, and then oftentimes it just like will like I'll like overflow. And most recently, I've been like busy with work and just like getting back to a normal life, and my body's now used to like balancing the emotion of grief that like it's like transitioned to like having like brief dreams and like crying in my sleep. So like the subconscious is just very interesting in that sense. And so um I try not like I compartmentalize, but I also try to recognize the emotions. So it's very difficult. But so that's kind of like where I am with my grief journey, plants and all.
Yeah, I love the part that you said that you just didn't have the energy, the time, just the space to care for plants for a while. Like I totally relate to that, and it's an interesting process as being a plant parent because you care and love for them so much, and then the thought of you just being like I can't eat, like I went personally weeks without even watering because I just couldn't. And then had to give myself grace to just be like, okay, it's okay. Like I personally cannot handle anything else. And it's That's the thing with like learning with plants too, because some of them still thrived and did amazing, and I still have them, through that. So that learning process of the ebbs and flows of it too. With grief, it's just you're like you said, it's that I don't want to say stranger because grief doesn't isn't a stranger, but they just come at your door at any given moment to just feel it.
It's like a tide. Like it
Yeah,
comes and goes, and you never know when you're gonna get like a tsunami of grief coming your way.
yeah,
So, I mean, I feel like anyone who's lost someone can understand, and it's like you try to like put it in a box because they're really strong emotions, but like we have to move forward, and I can't like dwell on the past, and I like sometimes catch myself thinking about like, well, what if I did this differently, or what if I had this conversation differently with Steven before he died? Like, would it have made a difference? But like the end of the day is like he struggled with addiction, and so I to be pragmatic about the situation and continue to focus on myself and my relationship and not worry about something that like could have happened.
right, right. Because you had no way of changing anything. It's just at the end of the day. And it's amazing that you have the strength to be able to talk about it, and give it a name and a face for others to say, you know what, I'm dealing with the same thing. I'm not alone.
Yeah. And I think it's really important. Like I had never like expected my presence on social media to be as strong as it is. Like it wasn't something that I like had always wanted. It just kind of happened. And so if I would actually feel guilty if I didn't use this platform to just talk about it and make other people aware of addiction and fentanyl and grief in general. And I feel like that would be a disservice. And I think, like me as an authentic presence, I feel like it's my duty just to share my journey and be open and honest. And I feel like I've come a long way. I've had some really bad times, but at the end of the day, like we're here because we love plants, and I think there are certain aspects of how plants affect us personally that can also be shared and tied to our love for them.
Yeah. Well, you're doing a great job. We see you, working out, taking care of yourself, all the love that you share, and we see between you and your husband is so beautiful as well. So you definitely need to pat yourself on your back because you're doing the work, and it's definitely showing. What is next for you? Is there any projects that are coming out that you can talk about or that you want to talk about? You got these beautiful floors just done.
Literally, they just finished them yesterday. Today's Sunday. Yesterday was Saturday. I think for us, like we're still in the midst of like cleaning up all the debris, right? Vacuuming, mopping like room by room and then putting things back. Like all of our couches are still in the garage. Like we haven't even brought them in yet. Like we need to buy area rugs because we had carpet in some areas. So that's obviously the first priority. But my husband has thrown out the idea of knocking down the shed that we have in our backyard and building an orchid laugh house. So I don't know. We're still like going back and forth about it because it's going to be a lot of manual work. It could be a fun project, but also there are other priorities that we need to focus on. Like our grass in the backyard isn't doing so hot because we have a lot of shade, like the big oak trees. So we're
Yeah.
trying to figure out like how to make that more lush. And so that's more of a priority, but also want to kind of reorganize some of the plants that I have outside just to clean start for spring. Did some of that a few weekends ago. Some plants died completely that I thought were going to come back that haven't come back from this past winter, which I'm kind of bummed about. But there's more space, so I think instead of like buying more plants to fill it, it's just like reorganizing it in a way that looks like more aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah. Do you do any outdoor gardening?
I mean we go to Ace and we buy a bunch of plants and then we plant them. Our backyard there's like semi-tropicals, like some alocasias and some more. We have a bunch of peace lilies, for example, like planted outside that have done well. Outdoor, I wouldn't say like we routinely outdoor garden. It's more like, okay, like this weekend let's just go buy a bunch of plants and plant it and make it look nice. Or like, oh, we need new mulch, let's go do that. It's not like a
But not like a vegetable garden. I'm
oh
sorry,
no.
that's what I was asking. Yeah. Peppers. Yeah.
No, I have an orange tree in a pot that was gifted to me, but that's about it. We don't really have a lot of space for that in our backyard. So,
Have you ever seen those black grasshoppers with the yellow stripes in your yard?
yeah, one jumped on me yesterday.
David, I literally had like thousands of them, and my backyard's not very big either. We live actually in townhouses, so it's not that big at all. And there's, I mean, thousands is like hundreds, so literally hundreds. And they're like this big. They're all
Yeah.
jumping up from underneath the leaf. I'm like, no. But I posted on Facebook and like the Jacksonville, and everyone's like, yeah, we have. Everyone has these. They're horrible because they will eat everything.
When I used to live in Ponte Vedra, we used to like literally like the size of my finger, like that big. I don't know. I think I don't have the heart to like kill them, so I just kind of like push them aside. I don't know.
Well, see, that's what I did. It was I guess I have the heart to be. I just chop them in half.
Yeah.
Then I read through the comments that people are leaving, and they're like, "Don't chop them in half and just leave them in your garden because they will breed. Like the eggs will just come from their carcasses." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
So you need to like dispose of them.
Yeah. Well, I put so much diatomaceous earth, like
Yeah.
3 bags. So if it didn't kill the bugs, it definitely killed all the plants. I'm sure by
Yeah.
now. I mean,
Yeah.
it looks like a snowstorm back there, but it is what it is. Hopefully, just get them all out of there and then restart. But David, thank you so much for having this conversation with me. I really, really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me. It's been
Yeah. Is
great
there
getting
anything
to know
else
you.
that you'd like to say, or like that we didn't talk about?
I just honestly really enjoy spending time creating content and sharing my journey and just helping others. And so it's a great opportunity to meet new people, especially you, because we both live in Jacksonville. So just want to thank you for your time and having me on the show.
Of course. And you and your husband need to come to the Cummer Museum. I'm the gardener there. So come and text me, let me know when you're coming, and I'll give you a tour. Have you been to the museum?
I've actually never been, so that would be wonderful.
Yeah, the gardens are so beautiful. There's 3 huge gardens right on the St. Johns River. So we'll have to do that sometime this before it gets real hot.
Yes, I would love that. Thanks so much for the invite.
Of course. All right. Thank you so much, David. Have a great night.
Thanks, you too. Take care.
You're welcome. Bye.